Welcome back to the 100 horror films in 31 days. This is day 13. Got in three films today. First up, I watched on YouTube Horror High from 1973. Interesting film, little grindhouse slice of the 70s. Not a well known film. Horror High is about a kid named Vernon who he's a nerdy kid, high school kid, and he'd rather spend his time experimenting on his guinea pig than studying or doing what normal kids do in high school. And he's, of course, he's picked on. And one of the older guys, I think it's the janitor actually, that gets into an argument and fight with him and forces him to drink this potion that he was working on, which turns him into this savage like ape. It's yeah, like a hairy. It's not he's not an ape per se, but he's like a hairy person with an anger problem. And basically, this when he turns into that, it's kind of a Jekyll and Hyde, high school Jekyll and Hyde story. Of course, he goes on a killing spree when he does that. Uh, it's directed by Larry Stouffer, who I don't know much about. I think this was his only film he did. Was yeah, it's the only film he did. It also stars Austin Stoker, who was in the Assault on Precinct 13. Very good film from John Carpenter. This was a decent watch. I give it a 5 out of 10. I'd like to see it on a better, an upgraded Blu-ray, with a nice scan. I think this movie could do something. I mean, if it had a nicer presentation. It does drag a bit in the middle, and it's not. It's at the end of the day, it doesn't have that '70s sleaze that you're looking for. It's kind of tame, to be honest. Almost TV movie tame, from the '70s. But a decent watch. I'd never seen it before. I give it a 5 out of 10. All right. Next up, I watched 1936, Dracula's Daughter. Got the old Blu-ray set out of Dracula's Daughter. Dracula's Daughter is a direct sequel to the original 1931 film, directed by Lambert Hillier. And this film picks up right where Dracula ended, with Van Sloan um, having basically staked the vampires, and the police or just happened to be at the castle. And so it's right after he stakes them, and then of course, as if everybody got instant notification, it was almost like social media. So you got the police that were right there right after he staked the vampire, and you've got Dracula's daughter who shows up trying to make sure that her father is actually dead because he's keeping her under his spell. Um, and that's where the film picks up. It's an interesting, atmospheric, moody piece, definitely carried by um, Irving Pichel, who is the henchman for Dracula's daughter. I thought he was very creepy in it, and he's kind of just spends his time antagonizing Dracula's daughter. She's trying to convince herself that she's not under Dracula's spell, and he's trying to convince her that she is. That her ultimately her nature is to be evil and drink blood. Interesting stuff. Gloria Holden was excellent as Dracula's daughter. Um, at the end of the day, I mean, I think I give it a 6 out of 10. I, it's kind of a bizarre. Honestly, it's kind of a bizarre entry in the Universal cycle. But I do think that it's an interesting film. It's not great. It's got a lot of atmosphere, but and I think without Gloria Holden or Irving Pichel, there would really be nothing here. But it's a decent entry. I enjoyed it. Okay, 6 out of 10. And then I watched 1957's Night of the Demon. Jacques Tourneur's directed masterpiece of horror, satanic horror. I actually watched this indicator release has three cuts of the film: UK, US, and then the uncut. I've watched all the different cuts. I just chose to watch the U.S. cut this time, which has more monster in it than the others because the producer wanted it. You know, that's the big issue with this film, or the big debate about this film, particularly with the director and the producer, where they were at odds about how much to show the monster. I like the monster. I think he's cool, and for 1957, it's pretty impressive special effects. The monster comes out of this mist, this fog, and he's huge. You know, he's like a kaiju type deal, and he's basically he's been assigned to kill whoever's holding this parchment paper, which is unbeknownst to them, given to them so that he can so that the lead protagonist in this can kill people off that are threatening his satanic cult. Great film, great film. I give this a 9 out of 10. This is just a freaking masterpiece, man. Dana Andrews was excellent in this. But the real star of the show, and Peggy Cummings was good. Neil McGinnis, who plays Julian Carswell, the evil cult leader, he makes the movie. I mean, he is fantastic. He is um, he's so swarmy, and but he does it in such a pleasant way, in such a disarming way. He's just fantastic in this. He really is fantastic. Great actor, great film. Loved it. Highly recommend this release. All right, guys, that's going to do it for day 13, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks.